Okay, so apparently there's a reason, an actual specific reason, why Jay-Z has been quietly cooking Drake for like a decade. And according to Akademiks, it's not Kendrick. It's not the beef everybody thinks it is. It goes all the way back to 2015, to Tidal. I know, Tidal. The thing everyone made fun of. Stay with me though, because if this is true, it kind of reframes everything. So back in March of 2015, Jay-Z launches Tidal. Big press event, a bunch of artists standing on stage with him like it's a photo op for a business deal. Because it was. Drake was one of the names attached to that launch. Billboard had him listed as one of the artist co-owners, right there at the announcement. And then a few months later, Drake's up on stage at Apple's WWDC, June 2015, helping Apple launch Apple Music. Reports at the time said Apple was offering him something like $19 million to be a face of the platform. $19 million. For Tidal, the offer wasn't a check like that, it was ownership, a piece of the thing. Which, if you think long-term, is actually the better deal, but it's not the deal you take when $19 million is sitting right in front of you. So he picked Apple. And according to Akademiks, who says he got this from an actual music executive, not just vibes, that's the moment. That's when Jay-Z allegedly turned. Not because Drake picked a competitor, because Jay-Z had put him on stage as one of the faces of his own company, and Drake basically walked out the back door for a bigger bag. Now, I gotta be honest with you here, because this is the part everybody's gonna skip past, and I don't want us to. This whole theory is coming from one source, an unnamed executive who told Akademiks something, who is now telling us. Nobody's confirmed it. Not Jay-Z, not Drake, not Rock Nation. Nobody. So when I say that's why, what I actually mean is, this is Akademiks' theory, relayed secondhand, and we should treat it exactly like that. Also, and this bugged me when I found it, there's actually a contradiction in the Tidal story itself. Some reporting from right around the launch says Drake had already backed out of the ownership deal days before the event even happened. So which is it? Was he in and then Apple poached him, or was he already halfway out the door before Tidal even launched? Different outlets tell it differently. Nobody's fully reconciled that. Anyway, fast forward almost 11 years and this theory doesn't even come from nowhere. Akademiks actually floated a version of it back in March when Michael Eric Dyson was in the news for defending Drake during the Kendrick beef, and then admitting, kind of accidentally, that Jay-Z had privately pushed back on him for doing it. Dyson ended up apologizing for even bringing that private conversation into public view. But it's what got Akademiks digging in the first place. So this isn't some brand new theory he just cooked up this week for views. He's been sitting on some version of it since the spring, and now he's saying he's got a name attached. An actual executive, not just a hunch. Because if you were just watching the last few months, none of this Tidal stuff would even cross your mind. You'd think the Jay-Z and Drake thing is just fallout from the Kendrick war. Back in the spring, Drake dropped Iceman, and on one of the tracks, Janice STFU, he's got this line, "The jig is up," that a lot of people read as aimed at Jay-Z specifically. Then May 30th happens. Roots Picnic in Philly, Jay-Z headlines, and instead of just doing his set, he opens with an a cappella freestyle. No beat, just him going in, and people are already dissecting the bars in real time trying to figure out who he's talking about because he doesn't name anyone. But the way it's structured, a lot of outlets, Rolling Stone, Billboard, Complex, all read it as Jay-Z addressing basically everybody who's taken a shot at him lately. Drake, Nicki Minaj, Dame Dash, Kanye, Tory Lanez, even Tony Busby, the lawyer. One big freestyle, several targets, and it appeared to directly answer that jig is up line from Drake. I mean, that's not subtle. Even with the hedging, even with seemingly and appeared to plastered all over every article about it, that's not subtle. And you gotta remember, Jay-Z's not exactly a guy who goes off script. This is somebody who's been doing press for 30 years and almost never says anything he hasn't already thought through 5 times. So when he opens a whole festival set with an unplanned sounding a cappella freestyle, calling out this many people at once, that's not him just venting. That reads like something he'd been sitting on. Which, honestly, kind of supports the idea that there's a longer backstory here than just the last few months of drama. And here's where Akademiks' theory gets bigger, and honestly, a little wilder. He's not just saying Tidal explains the current tension. He's saying, And this is his own read, nobody else's, that Jay-Z has been using people against Drake for years. Kendrick, Pusha, T, Meek Mill. All of them, in Akademiks telling, kind of pawns in a longer game Jay-Z's been playing since 2015, which, I don't know, man. That's a big claim to make about 3 separate beefs that all had their own very real, very personal origins that had nothing to do with Jay-Z on the surface. So take that piece with a lot of salt. That's commentary, not confirmed fact, and none of the guys he's naming have backed it up. There's also this detail that kind of undercuts the whole decade of hatred narrative, and even the outlet reporting Akademiks' claim pointed this out. Jay-Z and Drake actually worked together more than once, after whatever this alleged falling out was supposed to have started. If someone's holding a grudge for 10 years, you'd think there wouldn't be studio sessions in the middle of it. One more thing you should probably know before you take any of this at face value: Akademiks has beef of his own with Charlemagne the God. Back in June, Charlemagne came out on his podcast basically accusing Akademiks of favoring Drake, said something like he's got an OVO chain on. And Akademiks has fired back before saying Charlemagne's the one with ties to Roc Nation. So when Akademiks is the one telling you Jay-Z secretly turned on Drake over a business deal, that's not nothing. Doesn't make him wrong. But it's context you should have. So where does that leave us, honestly? I think there's probably something real buried in here. The Tidal thing lines up timeline-wise a little too well to just be nothing. $19 million is $19 million. And if I'm Jay-Z watching a guy I put on stage at my own company launch turn around and go host a radio show for Apple a few months later, yeah, I'd probably remember that too. But probably something real is very different from confirmed. This is one exec talking to one commentator who has his own reasons to want this story to be the story. That's the whole foundation. And that's kind of the frustrating part about stories like this. The timeline is compelling enough that it's easy to just accept it and move on. $19 million, a stage full of co-owners, a guy who leaves for the bigger check. It writes itself. But it writes itself is exactly the kind of story that gets repeated until people forget nobody involved has actually said it's true. Jay-Z's never addressed this specifically. Drake's never addressed it either. We're building a decade-long grudge narrative on a guy Akademiks won't even name. What do you guys think? Is this actually the root of it, or is Akademiks just connecting dots because the timing's convenient? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to know.